Hello class, my name is Leif Torgerson. I am an adult student. I'm getting a second degree. I am a CES major and I'm trying to become a graduate student with the Freshwater Sciences program. And I worked with the River Revitalization Foundation right here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. The River Revitalization Foundation was established in 1994 by the Rotary and Kiwanis clubs in Milwaukee. They are a public urban land trust that's located here in Milwaukee, so anyone can use their land. They are a nonprofit charitable organization, so they don't make any money, they make no profits, and they work to protect riparian biodiversity and maintain the river habitat that's next to primarily the Beer Line Trail here in Milwaukee, and they're reasonably close to campus. For my project with the RRF, I worked entirely outdoors next to the Beer Line Trail, and I was removing invasive species such as buckthorn and garlic mustard and replacing them in the ecological space with native flora such as white swamp oak, serviceberry trees, violets, and goldenrods. And while doing so, I talked with Vince Bushel a lot, and he's one of the individuals who runs the RRF, and I learned a lot about the Milwaukee riparian environment while I was removing and planting these plants. In relation to what we're learning in class, the RRF, they directly combat 4 of the 5 threats to biodiversity in the HIPPO acronym, that being habitat destruction. They combat that because they are active in habitat restoration for native species. They're digging out invasives and they're replanting the native ones. Invasives, they're actively removing invasives from the environment. P, the public use, the space itself, because it's a public land trust, it's open to the public. Anyone can come in and use it. You can walk your dog there. You can ride your bike. Various things. You can use their canoes, things like that. So it's an active public space, and they're getting the public involved with the natural environment. And lastly, in terms of pollution, they are actively advocating for policy change to protect the Great Lakes watershed and the river environments there from industry and from human pollution. Another way that the RRF relates back to class is developing the commons. As a public land trust, the RRF acts as a partial regulatory body of the commons area of the Beer Line Trail there, and then up and down the Milwaukee River, protecting it from environmental degradation and subversion and the tragedy of the commons. As in the volunteers there for the RRF, they're a steward of the commons, and they develop and protect the open shared space by enforcing rules and by just being active and removing invasives, things like that. The Beer Line Trail and the Milwaukee Greenway areas are now actually better protected than they were when they were owned privately, which is kind of ironic given the context in which the tragedy of the commons is often portrayed. It's often portrayed as you give the individuals open access to something and the public will ruin it. In this case, the public is actively protecting the space. The RRF and their volunteers are making everything better. In terms of supporting the sustainability of southeastern Wisconsin, I think that the RRF is doing that in spades. They are a great organization. I urge you to get out there and volunteer with them. Their 3-pronged strategy of action and education and personal local involvement of the community with the ecosystem and the riparian environment is great. They educate elementary kids in schools. They go out there and talk to them. Primary and secondary school students get to come in and work on the property, and the entire public can come and volunteer. Plant a tree and feel good. So once again, I urge you to volunteer with them. I think they're great, and thank you for listening to my 4-minute presentation.